You know, when most people think about going off-grid, they picture a bunch of separate skills: chopping wood, hunting, growing a garden. But look, true self-reliance, the kind that really lasts, it isn't just a collection of hobbies. It's about engineering one single, integrated system where every single piece supports all the others. So let's actually break down what that system looks like.
So, let me just ask you this. When it all hits the fan, what is the one most critical tool you need to have? I'll bet it's not what you're thinking. It's not your knife, it's not a rifle, it's not even a fire starter.
The answer? It's your own nervous system. Because the number one thing that's going to take you out of the game isn't a lack of food or water. It's losing your head when you're under stress. Panic? It's like a poison that literally shuts down your ability to think clearly and make good decisions.
Right, we've all heard the rule of threes. 3 minutes without air, 3 hours without shelter, 3 days without water. But here's the kicker. You can't even begin to solve for any of those if your brain has been completely hijacked by that fight or flight instinct. Before you can build that shelter or find that water, you have to be calm enough to actually think. It all starts with you, the operator. And that brings us right to the foundation of our entire resilience pyramid, the operator. That's you, the human being in the middle of this whole system. This is all about engineering your own internal state so you can perform when it really, really counts.
The core idea here is something we call tactical lucidity. Now, this isn't some passive meditation stuff. Think of it as a critical tactical skill. It's the ability, and it is absolutely trainable, to use your own breath and your awareness to pull your body out of a panic state and back into a place of calm, deliberate action. Honestly, without this skill, none of the others even matter. Okay, so once you, the operator, are stable, we can move up to the next layer, engineering the absolute lifeblood of your homestead. And we're not just talking about digging a well or throwing up a few solar panels. This is about mastering the actual physics of water and power. See, getting power from nature, it isn't magic. It's just physics. And this formula right here for micro hydropower tells the whole story. Your power output is a direct result of head, that's just the vertical distance your water drops, times flow, which is how much water is moving. You get a mountain stream with decent head and flow, and you've just unlocked 24/7 power that solar frankly can't even touch. And check this out. This is brilliant engineering for water purification, and you can build it with stuff you find laying around. You start by layering big stones, then gravel to get the big junk out. Then you add sand for the finer stuff, but the secret sauce, the final step, is activated charcoal, which you can make yourself from a campfire. It's got this incredibly porous surface that absorbs contaminants. That means they literally stick to it like a magnet. And just like that, you've got safe drinking water. So with water and power secured, now we can build the homestead's biological engine. This is where we stop thinking like gardeners and start thinking like engineers managing a living system that turns sunlight and biomass into calories. And believe it or not, that whole engine starts at the microscopic level. This here is a technique from Korean natural farming for cultivating local microbes. It's amazing. You basically capture them on a bed of cooked rice, feed them with brown sugar to stabilize them, grow their population, and then reintroduce the super concentrated dose of life right back into your soil. You're literally jump-starting the entire food web from the ground up, creating soil that's just unbelievably fertile. From that living soil, we move up to the plants. But instead of planting in neat little rows, you design what are called guilds. Basically, little communities of plants that work together, just like in a natural forest. A classic example is the NAP system. You plant a nitrogen-fixing plant right next to an apple and a pear tree. The first plant pulls nitrogen from the air and puts it in the soil, which directly fertilizes the fruit trees. It creates a tough, self-sustaining orchard that takes care of itself. Now, this next part requires a total mind shift. On a real homestead, animals are not pets. They are functional, biological assets. A dog is your security system. A cat is pest control for your grain stores. Every animal has a critical job to do. And managing those assets means you have to get scientific about their nutrition. These formulas here calculate the base calorie needs for dogs and cats. See, this isn't just about scooping food into a bowl. This is metabolic engineering. You have to figure out their baseline needs, and then you scale their food intake based on how hard they're working, to make sure your security and pest control systems have enough fuel to do their jobs. And that same level of detail goes for medicine too. When there's no vet around, you're the medic. This table here shows how different wounds need totally different solutions. A dirty wound with dead tissue needs one type of dressing to clean it out.
A clean wound needs a completely different approach to keep it moist so it can heal. It's a technical skill, and you have to master it. All right, let's zoom all the way out now to the big picture strategy. All these different systems, the utilities, the food engine, they all have to fit inside a long-term plan. This is about thinking in decades, not days. And that long game starts before you even buy the land. Tactical land acquisition means you stop scrolling through real estate websites and you start doing some deep research. You look for properties with legal issues, clouds on the title, that other people overlook but you can solve. You want to target areas that have rock-solid water security and tons of natural concealment, like you find in Montana's Bitterroot Valley. You're building resilience in from day one. This quote right here just says it all. The goal isn't to build a fortress and wait for a fight. The goal is to be invisible. You engineer your entire homestead to be so out of the way and unassuming, the threats just pass you by. It's all about concealment over confrontation. So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. After seeing how all these layers connect, do you really think true resilience is just a checklist of skills you learn? Or is it something more? Is it the careful, intentional design of a single, living system, starting with the one that's inside your own head?